All right. Good morning for me. Good evening for Craig. Good day, every guys. Welcome to the Godox Facebook Live Talk. Today, I am very honored to bring Craig Daniel back. He is the PPA president of 2020 to 2021. He is the fellow American Society of Photographers and Craftsman, camera craftsman of America. He's also the master photographer. I was looking to into my sort of resume. I probably just need to work another 20 or 30 years just to be halfway where he is. And hello, Sanjay. Without any further delay, let's get started, shall we? So today, Craig is going to share with us, how to do family photography with AD300, and the way he does things is very unique. It's a very painterly look. It's almost like, it's how would you define yourself? It's somewhere between photographer and a painter, or how.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what we would call mixed media. You're referring to our mixed media product, and that started a very long time ago, where we start with photography, and then we utilize Photoshop for composition changing, and then we utilize Corel Painter to do painting on it, and then I do a lot of embellishment work on top of the product itself. And so the finished product looks very painter. That's one of the products that we offer. We certainly offer other products besides just that one painter product, but that's predominantly what we're known for, and that's predominantly what we do. But yeah, I thought maybe just this whole program would be revolved around doing family photography. And I thought I use the heck out of the AD300s, and I'm having a blast with them, and they fit really well in my arsenal of tools to be able to do the things that I do with family portraits. And so I just have like an eclectic collection here of all these different families that we did, and some of this, it's all about problem solving, isn't it, Aries? I mean, it seems like that's all we do. More than just being photographers, we're big time problem solvers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let me just switch back to the PowerPoint slides. Here we go. I think quite often nowadays, I think with the photography world, it's almost like a fashion industry, right? Every 10 or 20 years or so, different sort of genre just come back. I don't know. Natural lights gets so popularized,
right?
For last 5 years. And remember the last family photo you did, we try to mimic those highlights for your daughter. That's kind of I was like, this is kind of interesting. That's predominantly the kind of photo my father does, because my father, he's a camera. He's a professional photographer.
Okay.
When he was in my age, of course, He's retired now. Yeah, because he's predominantly shooting portraits as well using Fuji 400H.
Oh,
interesting enough, right? And all of a sudden, because when I look at your photo, it brings so much memory and so much touchback. It's almost like, okay, it's very retro look. So I guess with the lightings, when you create a perfect lighting, perfect environment, you can sort of mimic all sort of look. Not only people misunderstand lighting as dark, dramatic, but it's all about you, isn't it? Like, you can do highlights, you can do on the natural side, you can do whatever you want. The beauty with the lighting, with artificial lighting, is not going to those artificial look, or to always go for the dramatic look. It's about you. It's about you create perfect lighting for your style, isn't it? So
exactly.
When I look at your image,
I think you'll notice that when we go through some of these is that I think in terms of what's the utopia of the lighting situation that I'm in? Because I can't always control exactly what the lighting situation is going to be, especially here in Florida, and exactly always the time of day. But I can imagine what it could be like, and leverage off of nature. So leverage and then enhance. And so I don't want to fight nature, because I put a lot of nature in our portraits, because these pieces are typically large, like you kind of see on the wall here. These are normally commissioned to display very large in these beautiful homes. And so to do that, I do leverage off of scenery and the design in the scenery and the environment. So I want to try to, look at how the light's working, look where it's coming from, major directions, and trying to get backlit situations. And then maybe open sky, but not everything's perfect every time. So that's when I enhance and try to enhance that light with supplemental lighting. So I might use several lights. I might use 4 lights in a scene to make it look natural, so it doesn't look flashy, but
exactly.
And it's so that it can control, like you say, I can control my style with lighting. Right. So from scene to scene to scene, I still have this natural feel, this kind of natural light feel, which you might think, wow, you use natural light. Well, yes, but I enhance natural light. And if you just see the natural light test shot, which I have a few of these, in our slideshow today, you go, wow, that's not what that was. No, it was pretty dingy, dark day, but I want to be able to try to make it look like it had life to it. The scene has life to it.
Sure. I think it's a great point, right? It's all about you, because it was very impressive last time. I was like, oh, okay, Greg creates multiple, totally different kind of look. There's light and airy. I'm not gonna say it's dark and moody, but it's very fine art painterly look, right? It's just impressive how you use lights. It's the tools, right? Lights is just convenience, and it's a car where you want to go Absolutely. Ahead towards to. That's totally as an individual artist. That's your decision. And
right.
Yeah, that's what I love about your work, and I can't wait.
Okay.
Wait to jump into the what are you going to show us today?
Well, let's look at a couple things. I just put it out here so a lot of viewers might not know, and we already kind of covered it, is that I'm typically commissioned to do these pieces ahead of time so that we know exactly what we're dealing with, the walls that we're going to be putting the pieces on. And sometimes they're really incredibly difficult walls and niches to build this product so that it fits there. So I need to know that design sense ahead of time so that I know how large to put the people and maybe how vast the scene needs to be and how we need to do that. And so we talked a little bit about that, that I do a lot of the topical painting on it when we're finished. I do want to share the bag that I have, and this is pretty much the equipment I take with me in every session, and it's enough to do just about everything I need to do in most my normal, lighting situations. And so this is really my environmental bag that I take on location. And this also, if I need to do a studio type work, I can have this set up right here, and it's great for studio work as well. So this scene, I just did this. This is really our Christmas card portrait. We were up at our cabin in the mountains, and I wanted to be able to create a fall scene Christmas card this year for our family. And our family is, interestingly enough, we have a brand new grandbaby here. She's on the right there, as you can see, and then on the left, that's Ashley and Ryan. And Ryan he has this big job where he's constantly on the telephone trying to take a company public, and so he was the trouble. He was actually the trouble. I thought it was going to be Evie Rose here on the right, that we were going to have to carve a specific time on the schedule out so that we could actually do her photograph. And normally I have to piece these together, because I'm trying to there's no one else helping me to do the shoot. So because I have to piece it all together, I thought this would be kind of an interesting one to share with everybody because it's just very different than a normal session, and it's problem solving like we talked at the beginning of it. And really, I only had about 15 minutes where Ryan wasn't on a telecon, and so I asked him to come down. This is in the driveway of the cabin. So it's just around the corner in the mouth of the driveway of the cabin, and the cabin's out to the left and you can't see it. But I thought I wanted to have this beautiful like sun backlit look, and wanted to light these leaves up. You know, I wanted that really sweet look, and it really looks like it's natural light, right?
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
It's anything but natural light, really. And typically, I would set the settings for the scene, right? And try not to work against the scene, and then do some splash of light here and there to add form and dimension, right? And just subtle form and dimension is really what I'm after. In this case, this is what I had to deal with. It was that early in the morning. It was early before the sun was up, and I've got to deal with this to be able to photograph him first so that he could get back to doing his telecon, and then be able to photograph Evie Rose like a half an hour later, because that was when she was getting up, and then photograph myself with Lisa, and photograph Evie Rose with her parents. And so it was a scene to do this, to get it done. And actually, this is the first test shot, and this has the AD300 in the back, bare bulb. So it's completely bare bulb, just standing up, just to see if I could start to light these leaves up from the background. You can kind of see my car back in the back.
Out of curiosity, why did you use bare bulb rather than standard reflector or softbox? What's your thought behind it?
Yeah, so the bare bulb is between the furthest background. You can kind of see where the car is, and I wanted to light all those leaves up. So I wanted to light the leaves up behind it, and I wanted to light the leaves up beside it and in front of it, right? And so that bare bulb just blasted light all around and acted like sun, right? Acted like the sun coming from behind and lighting the area up. And so that was really the first test shot to get that. And I'm going, yes, all I need to do is take it full max, and then boost up the light as much as I can, and then bring up some other lights. So that's our first test shot. And then this is the next one. Okay, so now it's starting to look like there's light out there, right? There's a scene out there. All I did was move the camera a little bit so I didn't have the car in it as much. You can still see it just a little bit. And then move it to where that light is behind that big tree over here on the left, so I don't actually see the source of the light right there. But now it's starting, I'm lighting up all of these leaves in the background, and I'm up high enough to where it actually looks like streaming light coming back through that driveway area, right? And I have a light over here on the right that I just started to introduce, which is up very high on the right, and it is in a softbox. It's in the 85 softbox. And that's an AD300 as well. And that's, sorry about that.
That's all right.
And so let's go to
if it's wife calling, you'd better answer it.
No, he's actually over here on the left. So.
Okay. All right.
All right. So here we go. And here we have the AD300 lighting up on the right. So I'm getting direction in their faces. And so we're doing Ryan and Ashley here. And then I have the small one in the very, very back behind Ashley. And you'll see it in a couple of other images, I think, coming up with a dome over top. So it's just the dome sitting on the ground with a little white dome and a little frosted dome. And that's giving them rim light behind them. So it's boosting that bare bulb. It's actually helping that bare bulb give them a little bit more powerful rim light around them to define them. And I'm going to use it on all of us as we go through this. So now that we have them, he can go, right? He can go on back up. And so here's the key, guys. I'm on a tripod, and so I don't have to, the camera's not moving, right? So it's just staying there, and I'm just firing a few shots of each one of us as we go through this. And so here I'm just testing out where I need to be in the scene, where Lisa and I need to be in the scene, with relationship with where Evie Rose and her parents are going to be in the scene. So this is to get a shot of Lisa and I in that scene.
Now, who's clicking? Oh, yes.
What's that?
Yeah, I was like, who's clicking the shutters?
So Ashley stayed back because Ryan is the one that had to run upstairs. Okay. And Ashley, I just had her just click, click, click. Just go ahead, babe. Just click the camera a few times. And that's how we got the photograph of Lisa and I, right? And now I'm now trying to get a good scene, a good design of Kyla and Bobby, and not as much Evie Rose at this point, just Kyla and Bobby. I want to get the nice design in their bodies and their line and their movement, because Evie Rose she's so young. We need to be close to her so that we can get some reaction and get her directed, right?
Yeah.
So that's what these are going to be. Now I'm going to come off the camera, off the tripod, and come in close so that I can actually fire off a few shots, and Lisa can get, and Ashley can help get her attention at this point. So
all the weird sound, cats, dogs, hyena, I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah. I do that with my kids.
And I try to remember to take, I don't know if you have the same trouble, but I try to get a credit card or something out there that I can get a color balance or a color checker with during the scene. Sometimes I forget and it just drives me crazy, but it makes it much simpler on post-production if I can get a gray card in a shot.
Yeah, I know.
And so here it is pieced together. It looks like it's daylight. It looks like it's a daylight scene outside. And the way that I got that hotspot, I just added a flare up in the top to give it this thought, in your brain that sun streaming through those leaves. And anyway, that's great.
That's great because I don't know if you're aware of, in Australia, we had a lockdown, so lots of weddings get postponed. And I shoot a couple of small weddings, and that's pretty much it about this year, because the limit was about 20-25-ish. And even now the ban is lifted, we sort of still have small weddings. By that saying, I had our clients had lots of Corona baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing lots of family photography in that sense, not newborn, because I always refer newborn photography to my mates, Julie Andrews and a bunch of other newborn specialists. But with the family sessions, what I'm struggling with is the baby's sleeping sort of schedule or cycle. Absolutely. There is a golden hour, like sunset, sunrise, but the baby was sleeping.
Yes.
Trust me. You would rather to shoot in a shitty natural light, rather than dealing with a cranky crying baby.
Yeah.
Well, don't ask me how I learned that lesson, but I had the baby who's being put on this poker face on through the whole photo shoots. I was devastated.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's it. I was just gonna shoot natural lights. But this is inspiring. If you don't tell me, there is no way I could tell. This is like such a perfect natural light, isn't it? Sun is coming through the branches, shining on the heads, and there's a beautiful balance of front, a few lights, almost like the light is coming through a tunnel on their face. I think it's probably because the light is filled also. Now that you told me, but there is no way I could tell if it's too flashy or it's just perfect natural light. It's just so awesome.
It's interesting that I look at it. I've been doing it for a very long time, and I look at this scene, and I'm much better when you throw it in front of me and you go, you need to create, and you need to create here right now. And so I know I can do it because I know my toolbox over the years is full of the ability and the tools with these lights to be able to create this kind of look in the scene. And the AD300s, you know, if you ever question how much power, if that has enough power to do that, I mean, those things are incredibly powerful. They're very small, they're compact, but they throw a big punch of light out there for you, especially when you do things like this in bare bulb. I mean, bare bulb I've used quite a number of times in this type of situation where I need to punch the light and help nature out just a little bit, you know, and what I could see in my head ahead of time, what these lights would be able to do. So it's really cool. I mean, I surprise myself sometimes when I get finished with it and go, dang, I look back at the first test shots and I go, dang, that doesn't look anything like what it was when we started.
Exactly. I was like, oh my gosh, this is huge. This is inspiring, like, I guess, for not only for the audience, it's also for me as well. I never thought of, you know, it's a new way of doing family photography. I never thought family photography can be done in such a way. I was just,
it's fun.
This is beautiful. Do you want to zoom in for a bit to show people a bit details about you know, about the brush strokes and, you know, guys, if you check out the leaves, yes, we can see that now. If you guys check the leaves and all that, it's like almost like brush strokes in the background. It's just so awesome. It's just great. Guys, that explains why I asked Greg in the you know, at the beginning of the talk. I was like, do you define yourself as as a photographer or more towards the painter? I guess it's just a fine hybrid sort of styles. Hello, Sean. How are you, buddy? It's just gorgeous. Thank you, Greg.
Okay. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It had a lot of complexity to it, so I wanted to like open up and share with that because, I mean, that's just got so many different elements that were thrown at me that day, and to be able to create. And it was the lights, and then knowing, you know, how to use a tripod and all of those elements that you learn that you kind of tuck away and you go, wow, I need that tool during this session. To be able to solve this problem. And so this had lots of problems with it. And when you feel confident that you're able to create anytime, anywhere, that you can create something because you have the tools handy, you know, to be able to do it with. This one, so they wanted, I had another session to do with this, and so we were able to film it at the same time. They wanted to do their Christmas card here in Titusville, not too far away from their home. And I thought this one, since we had a little bit of footage on it, and the final product would be kind of a cool thing to show you on the transition on how this evolved during the session, because it was windy that day. It had tons of other elements we're dealing with. This was actually the sessions created right off of the highway. So sometimes you can find some really cool places right off the highway. And so I wanted to take you through that. I don't know if you have any of the video. Do you want to show any of that video footage, or do you want to just walk through this and then? Can you hear me at all? I lost your sound.
Yeah, sure, I can. Do you want to share that from your end? Do you want me to share it?
Yeah, let's see.
If you have that with you now, that'd be great. Yeah.
So let's see if I can share it. I have it here. How would I share that? Would I stop sharing this and then share the video?
I think just by start share, then share by application.
Okay.
If you open that video, just share through application, I guess.
Let's try that. Application. Yeah. Here it is. I've got it.
Okay.
Right.
Alternatively, I can.
There you go.
Show it. Here you go.
All right. So you should be able to see that. All right. So these are the two main lights that I'm going to be working with during this session. So they're both AD300s. And one, I didn't have the baffle in, and I have it just open because I wanted one to be a backlight, an edge light, to give me just a little bit of separation from the background and maybe light up the scene a little bit. And so, but I wasn't interested in a bare bulb in this particular case. I was more interested in a little bit more direction, and so that's why that light is like that on my right arm. On my left arm, that's the one that's actually going to be giving them form and dimension. Sometimes I like to use that octabox that's got, a little bit. It's a little bit bigger. It's the 120, and so it's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit softer. But when we're dealing with wind, these are fantastic. These boxes are fantastic because they're that. They just pop on and turn on the front. It's got a really great way it holds on to that light. It's like one piece, and they're not like spinning around or flopping in the wind. They're really great to use in the wind. They're real strong. Go ahead. So this is basically, it's showing, you can see we're right off of the highway. This is on the Space Coast, so on the right side is where all of the rockets take off. And you might even get a glimpse of that, not somebody taking off. But so here I am, I'm going to set up these lights, and this is typically how I would work, is I would get these lights all set up before the client gets there, right? I want to get things kind of stationary and set, so I'm going to give it some, get a reading here. And I'll get a reading on the two lights. And so I want it to be about either the same exposure that the scene is, or just a little bit less, maybe a half a stop less reading on the light, because I don't want it for the type of look I'm looking for. I'm trying to enhance, not overpower the scene, right?
I do have a lot.
So here's the first shot coming out. And so I'm looking at, I'm really interested in the lighting and how it looks at this point, right? I just trying to get the light down and want to make sure it has this natural kind of feel to it. But I'm looking at it immediately and I'm going, there's too much in my mind design noise in the background. The skyline, the water line, all the extra little things that are over here on the right, those kind of things are really noise in the design, and they're interrupting my view and my vision of what I kind of had in mind. I want to really get enhanced by all the fluffy goodness that's all around them in those weeds, right? So I'm looking around, another problem, right, to solve. So I'm looking around, how can I get up? Because I don't have a ladder. I don't have a staple ladder. So that's my next situation that I'm going to try to figure out how to work with. So let's see, does it show me? Should show coming up. Because I look around and I see there's a bench that is right off the sidewalk. And I have a 70 to 200 lens, so I know that I'm going to be able to create something standing out. It just happened to be there, fortunately. Well, you can see that kick light on the backside. And so now look at the difference. I mean, that's a really big design difference and really isolates. And I kind of like the little bit of a leading line on the top left, kind of leads us into the scene and leads us into them. Their pose is nice, lighting's nice. So I was pretty satisfied at this point that we've got something for them, right? Yeah. That we have something that they'll enjoy, because they were interested in using it for Christmas cards, but they really, really wanted at this point, they wanted to create a portrait painted portrait over top of one of their main walls. So they wanted a nice size piece that was going to be their, family portrait for the wall for the year. And so I really wanted to get something nice, maybe something like they needed it to be horizontal. So I wanted to get that environmental kind of horizontal feel to it.
Yeah.
So now that we have it, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I love the fact that because, when you crop the, because with the previous image, you almost bring back to the real world with all the, skylines as well as the little blue, blue house in the background. It brings people back to the real world in a sense, but it's simple, minimalistic, and give people imagination what's outside the crop, right?
Right.
It's just so much better. And also, I love the fact that when you are using their ring lights, did you notice that nowadays when people doing the ring lights, they are always try to, if they have 300 watts, they just use 300 watts. It's a harsh, overexposed lines bleeding right into their face. Not everybody's going to do, in a sense, Marvel poster that you bleed right into their arm like Superman, Spider-Man. In terms of real world, it doesn't look natural, especially under this cloudy day. Can you just share some of your tips with how to properly expose for the ring lights, or what's your personal take about ring light?
Yeah, it's all about the angle of incidence equals the angle of reflection. So that's that theory that the light is going to appear brighter because it's skipping off of them at this angle and it's going to be coming towards us. So it's like throwing a baseball, ping pong ball, whatever on the ground. When you throw it on the ground at that angle, it's going to reflect and come back the same way, right? So you're not going to get that with the main light over here on the right. It's going to hit it and then bounce back. It takes a lot of energy to do that. It takes less energy to skim it. And so we're getting a skim rim light on the back left. So I know the power doesn't need to be as much. So I always think of it as one stop less than the main light. So whatever my main light is, whatever that power reading is, I know if I go one less power reading stop down on the rim light, that should give me a sweet place to start. Some people, it might appear visually now visually, some people, they don't need as much, and some people might need just a little bit more. But that's where I start. That's a great starting point. And what a great question that is, because I see that a lot of folks in a lot of images, they'll just do too much, right? And it's like garlic. I think of it like it just needs to be just a little garlic goes a long way, right? Just a little taste of it. And so, yeah, I try to not put too much on it. So now that I've really got this in the bag, I'm just going to do a few little images of them, and then I'm going to say, hey, let's head on out of the wind as much, and let's go down a little ways and set up in this little cove area, because I'm inspired by a couple of things in this cove area as I kind of walked it before they got here. So I thought, maybe this could be a cool place, because I think in terms of what my lens might see, not what I see, right? So I'm looking for design elements based on what my lenses can see. And you start training yourself if you just walk around with your camera and on different, zoom lens back and forth, and start understanding how your lenses will see the scene more than just you visually will see the scene. Because right, we see the scene at like a 50 millimeter. And so I want to know what that scene might look at maybe a 200 millimeter or a 28 millimeter or a 400 millimeter, right? Because I have all that in my bag. And so if I don't think about that, then why would I have it in my bag? Why carry it with you if you're not going to actually view a scene and think of what's in your bag? What can I do with this scene? And so for me, I'm looking at this scene and I see those little poofs that are coming out of the back here. into the scene. And I love that design of that line. And then I know that little tuft of plants, the foliage in the very back there by the water, and that little cascading shoreline, I know that is going to create some really cool, beautiful, fluffy lines for me that kind of can feed into this story and feed into the lines of those. I don't even know what you call them. Those little fluffy things that we're seeing here on the right side. And I know that I can isolate this, private property sign. I don't have to have that in the scene. And so if I know that my 200 millimeter will probably do the trick, right? To be able to compress everything and bring that background out. So, and I know that I have these two lights here, and the kicker light I can use now to not only kick light them, but I can use it to skim across some of the foliage and bring out light, so it looks like there's sunlight streaming through, right? So that's what's going through my mind really quickly, that I can solve all those problems and that this scene might work out.
Just so you guys know that all the questions are welcome. If you want to ask any question, go ahead, throw out, Greg.
Yeah, so here I'm just trying to figure out where can I position that kick light and where are they going to end up? And I want to get all that kind of set before I put them in the scene.
There it is, right there. Good.
Yeah, so, it's interesting to me. I don't think about it much, but I think if somebody was standing next to me, they'd go, what are you going to do about this pavilion? And I'm like, I don't care about the pavilion. I'm shooting through the pavilion. It's like photographing through a car window or something, right? I'm not going to get the car in it. I'm not going to get the pavilion in it. It's in the way, but it's really not in the way. I have trained myself to kind of see through that kind of stuff. Like the pavilion would normally, as you're walking by, you'd go, well, I can't shoot there. There's a pavilion there. Or I can't shoot there because there's a keep out sign there and there's a rope that is going there, right? Or I can't photograph there because the light is coming from the wrong direction, or there's all those, it can't. I'd rather walk by it and go, can I? Can I? Is that something that, wow, look at that really cool element. Can I capitalize on that element? Do I have tools in my toolbox to be able to pull them out and capture those elements as we're doing it? And then you have the added craziness of having a child involved in the thing, like you were saying, Aries, like, oh my gosh, what's the position that we need to use to really enhance mom and get this? That's where that came out.
Beautiful.
Isn't that cool?
It's really cool. I also love the fact, the way you use your color palettes. He's have this green, and it's almost like complementary color palettes, right? And she's pink, and the girl's pinky. It's beautiful blending with the background. Everything just works perfect.
Yeah, I just love it.
I also love the way you how you do this. I don't know, the brushes and stroke. It's almost like every single piece of leaves, they are moving with the wind. Sometimes with the shutters, we actually manage to freeze the moment, which is not bad in lots of cases. But this image gives me a sense of the moment, like everything's moving. It's almost like,
Yeah, I love the wind. I can remember a long time ago that that David Peters, he's a really incredible photographer out of California, and I remember years ago he told me something that really resonated with me, is that use nature to work with nature. So if the wind is blowing, use it. Use the wind. Make the wind, feel the wind in the image. And I just love that. that whole thought process, that don't fight it, use it to your advantage. Whatever that situation is, whatever you're dealing with from a, like I've seen you do some incredible rain photographs, right? Where you go, I can't, it's raining, but you can get some most incredible, I've seen you do it, Aries, that you can get some of the most incredible rain photographs, right? And so that's breaking that paradigm on, you're saying I can't, and really you can. What is it if you say you can? Well, look in that toolbox, dig deep, and use those tools to be able to create something that you shouldn't be able to at the moment, right?
Yeah, that reminds me of a painting of Vincent van Gogh, because it's very hard to tell to give the sense of feel when you look at digital image, but you look at the real painting with all the strokes going up. There's a guy, I can't remember the name, holding an umbrella, moving against the wind. You can almost see the wind is blowing the tree leaves, and you can almost see the heat in the middle of summer with a painting. And this image is incredible. I was like, I can feel, with winds blowing her hair and all the leaves is, its movement in the background. It doesn't matter if it's post-production or it's actually the moments, because it's you as an individual artist. That's your vision, isn't it? So
yes,
love your work.
Thank you.
I love every single element of it. I mean, especially after seeing the behind the scene, like no one has excuse not to create something incredible out of ordinary, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what folks can take away from it. Take away from this, is that it's right there in front of you. It's right there in front of you. There's an incredible artist years ago, True Red is his name, and I mean, one of the lessons that we did, I can remember taking his creative class, and one of the lessons was to stand in a particular place. They would put you in a particular place out in nature, and you stand and you have to create 10 different designed images without moving. You can move your body, but you couldn't move your feet. And you have to be able to create 10 totally different images with design in them from the nature that was around you, just around you. And what an incredible lesson that is, because it's all there. It's all over the place if you are willing to open your mind up and see it, which is really cool. That was pretty deep, wasn't it? It's late.
That was really deep. It almost reminds me of photo work I had at WPPI a couple of years back. They ask you to, without using your camera, hold on your breath, going doing this. I was like, oh, this is challenging. It's actually lots of harder than when we discuss it. It sounds easy, but it's pretty hard, and it forces you to go outside of your comfortable zone.
Which is a great thing to do. To go outside that comfort zone. That is really great. And what's on the other side of that is beautiful things, right? When you can get out and do that, which means we should do it more often, right?
We should. We definitely should.
Let's see. I think this is probably the end of it. It was just kind of to show you the equipment that I was using at the time.
Yeah.
I love the way that mounts. Those boxes mount on these AD300s. They pack up so easily.
It's a waste, because it's smaller lights. The smaller mount actually works perfect, right? It's easier to pack in your backpack as well.
Yeah, very cool. So I wanted to also show that baffle inside. I like to include that baffle just to soften the light just a little bit more on the faces with these, because it's not like, I typically would like to use the umbrella, right? Because the umbrella, it's softer when that light's hitting the umbrella and then coming out instead of going straight through on that box. So the baffle.
Guys, any question is welcome. Throw all the question you got towards us. Yeah.
You see how that just pops off? Really easy. Okay. So let's.
I think that's a beauty of AD300, isn't it? It's a much a smaller light. People think it's people with its size, the power is incredible. It's 300 watts, and yeah,
it's fantastic. Let's see. Okay, so here are a few of the shots from that. So that's the second one. And now these are right out of the camera, guys. These are not worked on at all. Right, but and this is all kind of leading to where I wanted to go. So here's where I wanted to end up going. And this is the actual paint work on it. So you can kind of see me.
Yeah, I love the brushes.
Isn't that pretty?
Mm.
So this one has a lot more brush work on it. Actually, the first one that we showed you, the family, has more brush work on it. This has larger brush work on it.
Shorter sort of stroke.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there we go. All right, so let's go to this next one. So this is in the back of our Titusville studio, and there are times a day that it's just pretty dull looking. You know, it looks like you're photographing in the forest, and the light is just really not there. The natural light, there's not enough of it. There's not a lot of open sky coming in, and so in this particular on this particular session, we had to do it at that particular time of day when it was just not really good lighting situation. And so I just wanted to take you through this little session, because this is where we're using the bare bulb again to light up back in the back. So you can kind of just see just one light, just that AD300 bare bulb on the left side, very similar to what we showed you with the family portrait at the very beginning, to light that up. And just that one light, look at how that added just the dimension, gave us three-dimensional feel throughout the scene, just adding that one light. So there, you know, this is Lisa, my wife. We're testing out the light because I want to try to get everything set before our subject gets there. And so we have an AD300 in a box on the right side. So we're going to be able to pop those lights on.
With the backlight is a bare bulb? Was a bare bulb?
That's a bare bulb in the back.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, works like a charm. Look at the lights.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah.
This is a new heights of mimic the natural sound.
It looks very natural.
Bare bulb.
Yeah. It looks very natural, but it looks like that light is just streaming in. You know,
exactly.
from the top.
And how come it's patches of light? Oh.
It's just because those leaves are stretching out a little bit further, and they're a little bit closer and catching most of that light that's streaming through. Yeah. It's just the way it looks.
This is crazy.
Isn't that little? I mean, it's a great leading line to bring you on into that little character. And boy, he was a bundle. I mean, just running around. So we wanted to create a scene that was enough so he could play, right? And we could have a conversation with him and get him just to play, and then bam, 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 take a bunch. And which is great too, because with the strobe lights, of course, I can go with a little higher shutter speed, and so he can move and it not be too much of a problem, not too much of an issue. Then if I was having to go really low or have to jack up my ISO really high and lose the quality, and because we do such large pieces, I really need that fidelity. I need that, you know, tight ISO, the lower ISO, so I can get a nice, less noise on the image, right? So that's the same place, just bringing them forward a little bit. We have a little bench in there, and you can see where we were is just behind him, which is out of focus a little bit. But yeah, that's that kick light. That's just that bare bulb in the light in the back, getting us all that dimensional light, all that splash of light that looks like sunlight coming in. And then we have the AD300 on the left, in this case, in a box. So it's very natural looking, isn't it? I mean,
it is great.
Yeah, yeah, it looks great. And then we have a little foreground here to give us some dimension to read through the scene. But my favorite is this.
Is this two light set up as well?
Yeah.
Like a natural light? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Looks like a charm.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But now I'm seeing we're getting a little bit of sunlight from the very back because I'm turned to the left a little bit. So I'm enhancing that sunlight coming through. So I'm working with nature on this, and but all of that beautiful highlighting is coming from that bare bulb. Isn't that cool?
That's really cool. Did you, out of curiosity, did you use any color gel or not at all?
Did I use a gel?
Yeah.
On this particular
like
one,
CPO.
I might have used a gel on this one.
Okay.
I need to look at the video. If
Yeah.
we're going to run that video and see, I might have. So occasionally I'll take a piece of that gel and I will tape it on a bare bulb. I'll just, tape over it. And I always carry a piece of that with me. And so I can just put it over top of the light. I also have it in the kit. And I have it, a kit that when I'm not using a bare bulb, it's in the kit where I can just put it on the front of it. But yeah, I think it's just a beautiful light.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So let's take a look at, let's see here.
How did you make that little young man stand right there without?
Well, that's Lisa. That's Lisa's doing.
Okay.
It's
like here's your $10 of your PlayStation money, and just stay there, don't move for next 10 minutes.
Yeah, Lisa's really good at that. Okay, so here I am setting up the lights for that shoot behind the studio with that little boy. Yeah, and so I'm showing you here. I keep them on different channels, A, B, and C, so that I can control them individually. So let's see. Again, I'm going to use that for the main light. Put the baffle in. Let's see. I'm thinking I used the gel on that. Yep, I did. Yeah, so I'll just get a couple of pieces of tape.
Oh, we have the same sticker tape. Easy to put on, easy to take off. Yeah. I used to use a transparent one, but it was so hard to take it off. It just end up sticking on the gel. Was like, this is easier to. And
I'll just take this. That was a new piece of gel, I think, and I'll just take that gel with that tape and I'll just stick it in my bag. Just on when you open up the bag, it's just stuck on the inside of that bag. So whenever I need it. Okay, so my main light's on the right, that kicker light, the bare bulb is on my left. You can kind of see the scene. Yeah, you see the bare bulb is up on the left there.
Huh.
That's it. but I'll raise it up. It's going to go up a whole lot higher than that.
No, I'm just interested. Is that supposed to point upwards, and is there a particular reason behind it?
Yeah, because I wanted, and that was the way I did it on that first family shot. Is I pointed up so that it gets behind it. Yeah, I want it to mimic the sun, right? So I want it to just blow all around instead of being a beam of light coming out. I want it to be, all around.
Maybe eventually.
Interesting.
Cold.
Interesting.
Oh goodness. Oh, Colton. Ah! What? What? Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, I almost fell. Oh, I almost fell again.
Hey, Colton, is there a leaf or a stick you can pick up? Uh-oh, what's on Uncle Greg's head?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is so much fun.
What? What? What is so funny? You giggle box? Oh, you fell.
Yeah.
Oh, what's so funny, giggle box?
Okay. Fun stuff.
Such a fun stuff. Yeah. I also love the way you connecting with the little young man down there.
Yeah.
So when you point the light bulb upwards, like what I saw earlier, the light was still coming down, right? It's almost like 360 degrees.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, I do have it pointed a little bit, just tilted just a little bit towards the subject. Not much, but just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. What if we point the bulb right towards the subject directly? What would happen?
I think what would happen is anything that you would like lit up behind it is not going to be as strong. And remember, it would be a sun coming through. It would be stronger from back to front, right? So it would be stronger. So what you don't want to do in the scene is have dark, and then it gets really bright, and then it starts getting a little less. So
makes sense.
I want to feel that light all the way strong coming all the way through. So that's why I point it more up, because it's going to come out of the sides and on the top. All right, so here is in the same area, same place. Let's see what I did with this one. So you can see it's really dull, right? It's a really dull scene, but with the same set of tools that we're going to work with here. In this case, I'm going to set up a light on the left like we had, and this one is coming from the right. So you can see how it's giving us that rim on the right side. So in this case, I'm using the 3 lights, 2 bare bulbs in the back, and then the main light, right? So I want this one a little bit stronger on the right side, and it has a gel on it, and I've helped it out a little bit in post-production to give it a little bit more kind of a sunlight feel to it, right? So you can kind of see that light. Now the light's pretty strong, a little bit stronger than I normally would like on a kick light here. But it's a pretty strong, I wanted it to feel like that light was contributing like it was daylight, right? But I wanted controlled, I wanted to control the modeling on their faces. So I'm really interested in creating a nice, beautiful design with triangles and also making sure that the heads are all on different planes, right? So I try to create this little game in my mind, and I've like yellow dots, if you want to call it yellow dots. So if I think of yellow dots, and for example, each one of their heads is a yellow dot, I don't want any yellow dots to be on the same horizontal plane, or vertical plane. So I'm trying to get this little bit of a movement of maybe up and down and create little triangles. So there's a lot of triangles and there's a lot of ovals and circles in a design like this. And then I get this diagonal of the whole family scene. If you look at it and see this diagonal that runs through, that creates motion. And that actually the steps are using that motion as well.
That looks great. So with the headlights in the back, that was on half CTO gel bare bulb. Again?
Right. Yes.
Right. Okay. And we have obviously we have a front light with softbox. I would assume that's with the 85 centimeters softbox.
Yes, it is.
Do we have third lights on the left or no?
So the light on the left is the natural. What? No, the light on the left is the box. Yep. Is the box.
Okay.
Okay. And so any light that you're seeing in the shadow area is just the scene. So it's just ambient light, right? So the box is on the left. And actually in this particular one, the bare bulb is back in the left. The one on the right is the one with just the snoot on it, with the attachment, with the light coming through. That's why it looks much more directional on the back side. If I want it to look very directional coming in, then I'm going to put that attachment on with the gel. And so I get a little bit more of a beam of light. And that's why it's a little bit stronger on their faces.
Cool. Do we, yeah, okay.
So this is the same kind of situation. It's going to be a bigger group. And so again, I'm thinking ahead of time, I kind of know how many people are going to be coming. This is going to be a large family. And so I want to be able to have lots of different planes to put them on so that I can play that yellow dot game with them and get my design and have these lines, and then also place those lights in the back so that I can pump up the volume. Now in this case, that's all sunlight coming in on this particular shot. I might have the box fire. Oh, I have the box firing. So you're seeing right now in this shot, it's just the main light box firing, and then also all of that really harsh light. That's the sun coming in, streaming in. But that sun, I know, is not going to be there when they get there, because this is a little bit before the time they were going to get there, and that sun is not going to be as powerful. So you can see now what that box is doing in that sun, and then we have that. I just have a splash of that bare bulb in the background, just a little bit, just to bring up that volume, those shadows up just a little bit. But I thought this was a good one to kind of show, how you can design the family lines and the units and play that yellow dot game, and utilize not just the scene, but also maybe have a couple of chairs with you that are folding chairs that are easy to carry around and very mobile, but they're not distracting in the scene, right? So they don't like take over and go, well, I have furniture here. They're more of, helping you just create the design instead of photographing it for the furniture being part of the design, which is kind of a cool look, but I didn't want that. There was too many design elements in here to deal with. I just didn't want to have to add that into the mix.
Yeah, and it's beautiful layout. It almost reminds me of the covers of Vanity Fair. Look at how many triangles there's. There's one on the left. In the middle, it's not so obvious, but there's another triangle, and there's another triangle on the right, and where the objects, the lights pointing towards the triangle. It's great. That's just incredible.
Yeah.
Lots of times about the lights.
Okay, so here's another scene. It was getting kind of chilly. I know it's kind of hard to say in Florida, but it was getting a little chilly for us. And it's towards the evening, and it's very cloudy. So everything's dull. The water's going to be dull because there's just not that beautiful light that's skimming across it, and just the whole scene has this really kind of muddy feel to it. So without supplemental lighting, it's going to be hard to get a real, lively looking, beautiful image out of it with just the natural light that's involved. Also, I'm dealing with a road that's up here on the right, but they were really, this family was really interested in this tree. That's a very old tree that is kind of a landmark on this particular road in this particular area. And this is in front of their house. So their house is on the right across the street. And this is their boathouse in the back. So all of this had symbolism for them. They moved in about 2 years ago, and they wanted to create some symbolism, or I wanted to help them create the symbolism that would mean something really great for them to be able to create a piece that was tall and a little bit taller and narrow to go on this beautiful wall in their home, in their gorgeous home here. So that's what we did here, but I knew I was going to need some lighting, right? So here's the initial kind of setup, and you can see that bare bulb on the back right. Okay, I picked this image because it was one of the outtakes. As I'm setting up, I'm just getting things firing, and I know that right now I'm seeing the scene, and I see that the main light, because I didn't meter it here, it was just I'm dealing with rocks, so I'm not running back and forth, right, to try to meter it and all that. So I'm going to visually do this in the camera as I'm setting things up, because I can, fortunately, with my transmitter, I can control these lights from afar, which is great now that I'm able to do that. And so I know that I'm just overpowering the scene with my main light, and Lisa's holding that on with a mono stand. I might have a picture of her doing that. I think I do in this scene where she's holding that main light, and I can ask her to feather it and things like that, but it's just too much power coming out of there right now. And so I know I'm going to need to power that down. I need to power the kicker light in the back down a little bit to get everything married back up within the scene. Oh, there she is. So that's typically how we're going to work a situation like this. I love it when she's holding that light, when there's not real small children and she can hold that light. And because I can ask her to like feather it to the left a little bit, or, feather it up so I don't get the ground so much, it's really wonderful when I can operate like this. It's really great to be able to move around, but I still will control these lights with the transmitter, which is kind of cool. So here's what it looks like. Looks a lot different from the start, doesn't it? So we're getting help with the natural light. I can't hear you, Aries. Are you able to, is your mic on? So you can see the scene. You see that kicker light, what it's doing over here on the tree? That all would not be lit up without that kicker light. We wouldn't get this real snappy feel to it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I think just accidentally the audio setting automatically changed. I said now that the main subjects are brightest spots in the image, and then the tree is kind of like leading light right towards them. It's just beautiful. There is still background. There's still sky in the background, a little boathouse in the background, but they are sort of, I would say they are one or 1.5 stop underexposed, so they are not so destructive. We completely changed the lighting ratios, right? From background to be the brightest spots of the image into the foreground to be, or where is our people to be the brightest spots, and the tree to be the secondary important subjects, and following by the background, giving some context. which is the ideal lighting situation, right? Isn't it?
Right. Yeah, and I like that. I like occasionally to put in the background up in the scene. I like to put a little open sky. I like to be able to feel like I can breathe and that I can, read through the image. So I like that, and I like that the balance with that open sky, with the balance of that water on the left. And it kind of leads us with that diagonal that runs you from the left with his hand and brings you up through the folks, for the family. And then you can travel up through that beautiful tree line and then open yourself up into this opening. So I really love it when you can take a journey through the image and that you can read through it and walk through it and then come back into it again. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, guys, if you guys pay attention to the tree and the people in the foreground, if you notice the way the tree branches coming, like Greg mentioned earlier, as a diagonal and then going sort of horizontally. If you look at the lady in the center of the way her hands is, they are almost mimicking the tree branches in the background, create this harmony. That of course, our clients would say, "Oh, this is beautiful. This is so peaceful." They wouldn't be able to kind of decompose the image the way we do. But as professional photographers, this is a great tip. Pose your subjects. Don't give poses. Sit there. Look into camera, smile like you're meaning it. That's Instagram shots. If you're a professional photographer, maybe think about like those old days, like the painters, the way where they place their hands. It's always on purpose. It's always create this harmony with the other elements in this image or painting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I love to be able to explain those things to the client when we're in the order room. When we're actually selecting and we're talking about it. And I will walk in. Lisa does the ordering appointments, but I will walk in during it and when they get towards the one that we're going to end up actually doing. And I'll talk about all those design elements with them, and it just enhances their experience when you do that, right? When they love that, and they'll start seeing that. Once you point it out to them, they'll start seeing it. So again, here we're going to use the bare bulb to create this scene, and we're going to use two lights here: the bare bulb in the back, and then the AD300 in the box right here on the right. So let's take a look there. You can kind of see the actual, just kind of a pullback, so you can kind of see the image with Lisa. Now, she's not actually holding the light, she's just stabilizing it at this point. You can see the baffle in that light, right? I mean, you can see where that baffle's placed inside that light just to give them a little bit more softness. I do like to use that baffle in the light. And I like to find scenes where I can utilize the scene to create different heights, because in this case, they wanted something really tall and thin and narrow to go up on their wall. And so I wanted to create, that feeling with posing to be able to bring them up. So it kind of supports the reason for the scene. So that's how that ends up looking.
Let me just quickly address the question we're asking, what is this? I would assume the lady Raya is asking about lights. It's two AD300Pro. All the images we're discussing today is done by AD300Pro. Really quick. Cool.
Yeah, if she's asking about this feature, it's just at a park. It's at a park in Orlando, and that's just a feature that's out by the water.
Okay.
Another scene in someone's backyard. You can see this was right at Halloween. So they had a lot of little Halloween things up on the outside. But here again, I wanted to create depth and dimension, throughout the image. So I needed to set all this up before the family got in and into the actual scene itself. And so I want to light up and make that look like sunlight streaming through, even though it wasn't. It was a very kind of flat, dull day, kind of cloudy. And so that's what we're going to do here. And now here we're using, I put some orange gel on the one on the right, just to give it that real hot sunlight feel to it. And then the one on the left is the bare bulb. And you can see the little guy there to give us a little light. right? Do you want to see
Oh
it?
yeah, now I see that. Yeah.
So that's going to give us that kicker light, just that rim light to help rim the back, just to boost it up a little bit. Yeah, I love using that little guy. Just go anywhere, right?
Yeah, I love the fact you place the light right into the scene. You know,
Yeah.
And it's not even destructive at all.
Yeah. So here it is. So this is what it looks like, all balanced. And then I have an AD300 on the right for the main light. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit so you kind of see. You can see how beautiful after I adjusted the lights, you know, through testing it and seeing how this beautiful little, see that little kicker light here in the back, how beautiful it lights that up. You know, that would just be, without those background lights to create this beautiful scene, that just would have been a really dull, kind of a dead, dark shadow area in the background. And so now I have, look, it gives them dimension, it gives them kick. Look at that beautiful kick light on them. Just to give them a little separation, right? Very cool. So let's go here. Now here's another situation. So this kind of theory is, if you want to include like a building or an object or a scene, you know, often it's get away from it. You know, often you'll see like, oh, I see a beautiful tree. I'm going to go put my subject up against the tree. And all of a sudden you've lost the beauty of the tree, right? The design of the thing that you want to see, you need to get away from it so that you can actually see it. Like, you want to get a photograph in front of a lighthouse, you need to be a long way. The lighthouse needs to be a long way away from you to add it into the scene if you want to know it's a lighthouse, right? And so in this case, they had just built this home, and we just did this portrait for them for their above their mantle, and we just did this a few weeks ago for them, and they had this long driveway, and I thought, you know, I want to showcase that and showcase these beautiful oaks, and that kind of lean over and kind of give them this nurturing feel of a family, right? So this is me doing the testing. I'm going to have an AD300 bare bulb on the left back, so I can light up some of those leaves in that beautiful oak tree, and maybe give them a little bit of a kick light. Have the V1 behind them on the ground, and then have the AD300 in a box on the left side. Guys, this is the same setup on almost all of these, right? It's just a little tweaking here or there, but it's the same concept. And that's why I put these together, because I just thought this would be kind of a cool thing for you to see. So this is what it looks like. But look at how, I mean, this is going to look beautiful when I finish it out to go over their mantle. But you can see this, it features this beautiful tree that's up here. And it gives us a hint of their home, but it's not too much of it, right? And it separates them from the scene itself. I just love how it leads you in and kind of invites you into them and what's important for them. You know, what's important is in that back, their family unit, in their home that they're so proud of. And it's a beautiful piece.
Hi, Greg. If I may interrupt, John is asking, what size of softbox are you using? Are you using the
85?
85 centimeters. Cool.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Another situation, again, it's kind of dull, and the light is just kind of a cloudy, overcast day. And so I'm going to do the same kind of thing we've been talking about. And oh, here we go with a great card.
Yep.
And we've got the kick light, and this one's pretty strong. That is a much stronger than I would like, right? The kick light in the back right. But I thought it was a kind of a cool example of lighting up that scene and getting it very bright and airy, along with the AD300 here on the left.
So 2 light setup.
2 light setup on this one.
Cool.
Back,
Yeah.
kick light, and then here, right behind this big kind of tree here, I've got that box on them. This one, I got it. We just did this one the other day, and I got it all set up. And this tanker comes by and parks right there, you know. So I get all the lights set up. It's very cold that day, and windy, and all the beach is right behind me. But we want this scene in here to be able to photograph this family. But that darn trucker comes in, crazy. So here I do the lighting. So, but this gives you kind of a nice feel. We don't want to fight the wind in this case. The wind was coming off of the beach. It was just so cold with the wind, and they weren't dressed for it. We weren't dressed for it. But you can kind of see the kick light, the bare, in this case, I don't think I used a bare bulb. This was without the bare bulb, just straight pointing it at them from the back left, coming through the trees, and giving us that dimension on their hair, right? But I do love the wind here. I love the way that wind feels.
Yeah. How do you decide when to use bare bulb, when to point the light direct towards your subject?
Well, in this case, the bare bulb wouldn't have helped any more than just the direct light, because there's not any foliage other than, you know, if right now, I'm not going to light those buildings in the back. They're too far away, right? That's not foliage. So if that was really foliage, then maybe I would have had the bare bulb light up the foliage. But in this case, that's not. The only foliage I'm having to kind of light up is this tree here and maybe this area right in here. And so it was just good enough not to use the bare bulb and spare the energy, be able to put the light back further and then point it at the subject from the back. Another case where the inspiration was this palm tree, and using the light here on the left. And so that's what we ended up with. Just a little different angle where we could include some of the water in the background.
Same 2 light setup?
Yep, same thing.
Yeah. Works like a charm.
This one, same thing. I'm going to kind of overpower this light. That's actually on the left is a kick light. That's a bare bulb over here on the left, right out of the scene on them. And then we have Lisa with her light up here on the left, giving us a little bit of this, filling up this front light.
Yeah.
And that's
out of curiosity, because
what's that?
Out of curiosity, because I already see the sun. Actually, there is a sun. Why would you want to enhance the sun with an extra bare bulb? Okay,
that sun is this right here is not as it appears here.
Yep.
That sun went away. This light went away from the sun. Yeah, and so that's not really sun. Those flares are flares I put in. Yeah. Okay, so it's to mimic that. Because if that was really sun, like it was back here, look at how these are all really lit up here in the very, very back, right? And how that's blown out right here, right? So now look at it. It's not, right? So that sun went away. So the light you're seeing now is from that bare bulb. But but remember, I looked at it and I thought, well, this is a beautiful area. I love the light that's streaming in. Well, the light went away. Well, I have light. I'll pull it out of my bag and create the light, right? So it just kind of helped and emulated and boost what was there.
I just love the way how you light up the subjects. It's a perfect natural light, and I would say it's timeless, because it's like perfect timing. Every time you show up for family photography, you just bring the perfect natural lights right in your bag. It's just amazing how you lead up the subject. Yep.
Same kind of thing.
Yep.
Same here. This one's kind of cool. Same thing. We're using the kicker light, but here's a really great lesson in using a long lens, because I love the design of this tree back here, and I love the design of this tree over here on the right. and this line that's a diagonal line here, and this is their tree. This is their front yard of their home. And I thought this tree means a lot to them because they were telling me about the tree and how they had planted it and all of that. And so now I back way up, use a 400mm lens, and compress everything.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
If you don't tell me, I would imagine they're in a woods or something, or in a garden, in a park, something. Oh, this is their front yards. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But I love crazy. The tree now becomes a huge story for them, and I like it that we engaged them with the tree, but it's not the whole scene, right? Then again, with just how dull the day could be, and then just give it a little. This is one light, right? One light.
Yep.
Again, this one I wanted to show you because it has, the little V1 in the back, just to bring up that light behind them and bring up the canopy that's inside, to kind of bring it up with volume on the outside.
Okay.
The difference, kind of how dull it is, and then how much that. So
it's just one V1.
One V1 and then one AD300 on the right.
Okay.
To give them a little bit of modeling.
Where did you use V1? On camera or?
Where? This one? No, it's in behind them. So it's behind them.
Behind them.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. So right there, put it behind them. It lights up. See how it lights up inside? So it's lighting, lighting it all up behind them.
Okay.
This is a one light set. This is going to be, this is going to have a kick. This is going to have a kicker light to it. Let's see. Yeah. So here she is with that light, the AD300 in here in an umbrella, and then there's a kick light which you don't see, which is like right behind her, that is giving us a kick light. So this is with the, okay. So this is the setup. So behind her is the V1 to give that rim light, and then we have the AD300 here on the left in that softbox, which gives us this. So that V1 is lighting up the background, with the bulb, with the frost on it, and then also giving them a rim light.
Yeah.
So it kind of acts like a bare bulb in a way, right? When you add that little dome on the top of it.
When you say the frost, it's referring to the AKR1 sort of dome or the diffuser?
So it's the dome. And that
dome. Okay.
It comes in the kit. It's that frosted dome.
Yeah.
It acts like a bare bulb, right?
Yeah.
It turns that little V1 into basically a bare bulb. But
cool. Yeah, I love use that. It's just so easy to use, and it's magnetic.
Mm-hmm. Now this is just one light. Lisa's holding it over here on the left, walking with them, which is great. So she's got that light just walking along the water with them, and over here she's got it on the left. You can see her here. Now this is kind of cool because this is just a setup originally. Light's a little harsh at this moment. I'm going to power it down. We're going to use it for the whole family, and use the objects in the scene to be able to pose them with, right? So I'm going to, instead of just clumping them together, I'm going to utilize the scene to incorporate it to make it much bigger, so the design is much bigger. Beautiful kick light in the back, and then I wanted to show you this one because it had the same thing here, where we have trouble quite often, where it's just really dull in the background if we're incorporating something like this that has a canopy. And so I could have used a bare bulb back in here, but it's so easy in that area. You don't need a whole lot of power. So it's the V1s. I mean, it's just a V1 with a little bulb in the back, and just kind of light it up.
Yeah.
So you just drop it back.
Now I see it.
You see it now?
Yeah, because if you don't tell me and you don't give me before and after, I wouldn't, because I would think it's natural, because the way you use light is so subtle and so natural. There's no way to this is awesome. This is great stuff.
Isn't that cool? So it gives us
That's
just a
really
little
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives us a little three-dimensional feel of the light here.
Yeah.
And it lights up that background. Look at how that lights that all up.
Yeah, all the details. Yeah.
Cool. So see, we went from here to here.
Yeah. So two light setup, right? Two light setup.
Two light setup. This is the last one we have here, and I was doing these, and we were finished with the family portrait. We had designed the family portrait in a whole different other area. This was at the very last. You can see the sun's setting right now, and so I was just doing some fun things with the kids, and the mother is talking to us. It was a house they just built on this river, and she was talking to us about this tree and how they were talking about tearing it down and taking it down when they built the house. But she just loved the tree. The husband didn't love it as much, I don't think, but she did. And I thought, well, let's just finish up with one more family portrait by this tree, incorporate this tree, right? And so, I talked about how you want to get away from the thing that you want to photograph or that you want to emulate. In this case, I wanted it to be incorporated in the design and maybe shoot through it and see if I could create some sort of lighting scenario that would be impactful and like highlight, showcase the tree, showcase their family. And this is what they ended up with, a very large medal in the entryway of their home. And that was not even something we had pre-planned or thought about. But so this is gelled on the left, a light that's shooting through those branches and also giving us light on them.
Softbox?
No,
it's bare bulb.
This is not bare bulb. This is actually just the dome on it. And, just a standard on it. And then I have a gel that's on front of it.
Yep.
Okay. And so that's giving us that warm light to mimic that setting sun that's on the right and giving us that light, that warm light that's on the dock and on the rocks and giving us a matching kind of warm light on them. Right.
That's really cool.
Just one light, guys. This is one light here.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
This is great stuff.
And then that kick is all coming from that setting sun. So this kick over here on the side, that's all the setting sun. So there you go.
Thank you so much. That was great stuff. It's certainly super. It's certainly huge for me. A lot for me to absorb all the all the hearts, all the design, all the pose. All the gestures, how to engage your clients, how to listen to their story, tell their story about their trees, about their, in the backyard, and it's beautiful. And thank you so much, Greg. If you can answer this one last question from Sita, and let's just end up this talk with. So the Painterly effect starts with Photoshop, obviously, with the design piece of it, because of design. You need to have great bones to create these painting pieces, right? So the design of it, I might stretch some pieces of it. I might add elements into it to create design elements that flow right? So I use compositional control in Photoshop. So that's maybe the way I crop it, the way the finished piece is going to probably look from a design standpoint, right? Then the next step is I take it into a program called Corel Painter. And Corel Painter, I paint all the way down to the eyelash using a Wacom tablet and different brushes that emulate the brushes, real brushes. In the real world, you can do that in the digital world with Corel Painter. Then after that, I inlay the inks into canvas through a printer, a 4100 Canon printer, and so we can print very large pieces on canvas. And then on top of that, I use acrylics, gels, and acrylics color to enhance the image, and it's what they call embellishing an image. And then on top of that, I utilize water mixable oils for painting and adding highlights. And then on top of that is a varnish that completes the finish on the image. So that's how we get that painterly look. Thank you so much, Craig. That was a lot to absorb, all the way from lighting, posing, storytelling, and even printing the design, custom design towards your clients, and all that post-production details. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope everybody enjoys this talk as much as I do. And bye for now, and I'll chat with all of you later.
All right, bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.